Get this, I went to school for audio production, and I got a full-time job at a recording studio. What's up nerds, my name is Cory Bergeron, and you are watching Cory Bergeron Recordings. Today we're going to talk about something controversial in the audio world, and that is, should you go to school for audio production? Since I discovered audio forums, I have seen this topic debated countless times. I've heard people that have taken the program and people that haven't taken a program debate it in real life, and I would say that the majority of arguments tend to lean towards the side of not going to school for audio production. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I have gone to school for audio production, and if you came to this video looking for a definitive answer, that's not what you're gonna find. The truth of the matter is that you have to weigh the pros and cons, assess your situation, and see if it's right for you. Again, I almost exclusively see arguments leaning towards not going to audio school, so I wanted to share my perspective and throw my $15,000 education into the debate. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and where I was at before and during my brief college experience so you can see things from my perspective. I went to college when I was 18 years old, and I graduated the program when I was 18 years old. My specific program was 45 weeks and was broken up into 3 semesters, and it all happened within 1 year. When I took the program, I had no kids, no wives, no kids, no wife, and I was living at home. I had a high 60s, low 70s high school average, and I found it really hard to apply myself to anything I didn't want to do, and that is still an issue to this date. Anyways, the reason why I decided to take a audio production program in college was because I wanted to record bands. At the age of 15, I got my hands on a Tascam DP01 FX unit, which was a 8-track Porta Studio where you would literally you'd have this all-in-one unit that you could take around. You could record 2 tracks simultaneously, and it would record it to the hard drive on the unit, and then from there you could bounce down a mix, and then you'd have a stereo wave file. This was my introduction to recording. From there, at the age of 16, I got my first job at Wendy's, and I saved up 3 months worth of paychecks without spending a penny so I could buy a MacBook so I could get GarageBand with the intention of making dubstep. I think that's the moment in my life where I got infected with the bug of spending all of my disposable income on gear and tools that I can use to make music and just create. I eventually ended up buying Logic Express 9 when I was 17, and I spent countless hours working on hundreds of projects, all just for the fun of it. Next thing you know, I'm finishing up high school and everyone is going to college and university, and the only things that I seemed to be consistently interested in throughout high school were playing guitar, audio production, and Zelda. And since I couldn't go to school for Zelda, I thought that the next best thing was going to school for audio production. The experience I had there was better than I ever could have expected. In high school, I didn't have any friends that were interested in the idea of audio production, and I barely had any friends that were interested in making music. I tried to force my closest friends to start a band with me, and they were into it a little bit, but they definitely did not take it as seriously as I did, or weren't as obsessed with the idea of being in a band as I was. In college, I rarely studied for any production-based tests because for the first time in my life, as this teacher was explaining something, I was super interested in it, and I retained all of it. Anyways, as the college program came to an end, I dreaded the fact that I was no longer going to be in school, and I had to go into the real world because I enjoyed my college experience so much. So yeah, that was a very brief look into my life prior to taking the program, where I was at, and my life taking the program. So hopefully you can see where I'm coming from. Online, when I see people arguing against the idea of going to school for audio production, the argument is usually, save your money, you can learn everything you need to know online. And to that I say, I guess, yeah, but you'll need an incredible amount of discipline, determination, and you'll need to know exactly what you need to know, and I would argue that it would take you multiple times longer to get anywhere close to a comparable foundation that you would gain from school. Alright, let's start weighing some pros and cons for and against the idea of going to school for audio production. Again, this is my perspective, take it as what it is. Pro number 1, you will be immersed in an environment of like-minded, creative individuals. Having this sense of community and camaraderie as you go through the program is incredibly valuable. I can't stress how much easier it is to learn, and I can't stress how much more fun it makes going to class. On top of this, you're not only learning the source material from your profs, you're also learning tons of valuable information from the students around you. Everyone has their own set of skills and background and goals. You would be amazed at how many of my classmates I've had the opportunity to work with after the program in different capacities all over the music industry. I live in Ottawa, Canada, and I've done live sound for one of my classmates' bands in Boise, Idaho. You can't make that stuff up. Pro number 2. This one's important. If you're taking a program, that means there's going to be tests. That means whether you like it or not, you have to learn things that you may or may not be interested in. What am I talking about? I'm talking about things like signal flow. Since going to school, I am confident that I can go into most studios and figure out my way around. I'm able to troubleshoot issues. I know exactly where problems can lie and how to get around them. I wouldn't have such a deep and intense understanding of something like that without going to school. Music business. I went to audio school so I could learn how to make records because I like making and listening to music. I didn't have any interest in learning music business, and whether I liked it or not, I had to learn it. Fast forward down the road after taking the program, when record labels start offering you record deals, it definitely pays to know a little bit about music business. The list goes on. Acoustics, doing basic soldering, etc. Again, I went to school with the intention of learning how to make music because I liked music. Those other things didn't interest me as much, but because I went to school, I had to learn them, I was being tested on them, and it gave me a solid foundation, and I didn't realize the value of knowing these things until after the program, once I was in the real world. Oh, and don't let me forget studio etiquette. That's a big one. I can usually tell if someone went to school for music production or if they have learned everything online by the way they leave a studio after a session. Pro number 3, if you are taking an audio course, that means you are committing and prioritizing taking a program, right? I'm assuming that if you're taking any sort of production course, it's probably full-time. That means it gets #1 spot in your prioritization. Work works around school. Social life works around school. Everything else works around school. So no matter what, you have committed time and money to learning the craft of recording audio, being a producer, being a mixer, whatever. I think this is super undervalued, and people think that they have this insane discipline and determination and can sit at home and can grind 8 hours a day of just trying to learn without any guidance or anyone else helping them along, and they think they can get to the same spot just to save a couple bucks. Okay, so that's 3 pros that I think aren't discussed very openly within the audio community. So now let's talk about some cons. You have most certainly seen these cons online if you've seen any sort of argument against going to school for audio production. So let's start out with con number 1. Audio school costs a lot of money. You're right, it sure does. And some courses cost more than others. If you're taking a music production course because you've always kind of liked music and you don't really know what you want to do, you're probably going to spend a lot of money just to realize that music production is not for you. It is not a glamorous job, it is a lot of grinding, but it can ultimately be rewarding. I would say that most complaints that I see against taking a music production program come from people that have failed to have any sort of success from the music industry, and they blame it on the course instead of taking responsibility for it. On the other hand, if you are serious about audio production, I don't think there's any faster way to gain a strong foundation, network with 75 plus other students in your program, and put yourself in a position to get closer to your goals. Con number 2. You probably won't get a job. And I would say this is true. I would say to anyone taking a program, do not expect to get any sort of job in your field. The reality is, the way it works for producers, audio engineers, mixers, mastering engineers, you work for yourself. You have to learn the skills, you have to learn your craft, and you have to find clients. You have to provide value for your clients, and in turn, they will compensate you for your time and skill. Again, music production is not glamorous. You have to grind, it takes a lot of hard work, but it can be rewarding if you're in it for the long run and you're always open to learning. Con number 3, I see this talked about a lot on forums, is people come out of school and they don't know how to make a record. Guess what? I came out of school, I didn't know how to make a record. What school taught me, it taught me an incredible technical foundation. There's no way you can ask for someone to teach you the creative side of making music because it's an unquantifiable skill set. You can learn certain elements from different people and collaborating with different artists, which I highly recommend, but you will never ever learn the creative side of making a record in the studio. That is something that you have to develop on your own, and you do it through experience. There is no substitute for experience. You just have to do it and learn from every single time you do it, and you will watch as your work gradually gets better. If you don't put the time in, you will not get there. So, to people complaining that they went to audio school, they learn stuff, but they still don't know how to record bands, that's on you. You have to put in the time, gain the experience, and learn how to make a record. So, tying back to the whole topic of this video, should you go to school for audio production? If you are a go-getter, you are fully committed, and you are ready to grind, then sure, I don't think there's any substitute for going to school, getting that technical foundation, and then building off of it after school, gaining all the experience on how to record and how to make the music that you want to make and work with the people that you want to work with. If you're laid back, maybe on the fence about the whole production thing, and are the type of person that waits for opportunities to come to them, save your money. Do not go to audio production school because it will be an expensive way to learn that maybe it's not for you. In conclusion, I went to audio school. I got a full-time job at a recording studio. I became the head engineer of the recording studio, and right now I manage the recording studio. On top of that, I play in a band. My band got signed, and we have toured over 10 different countries. I've worked with several different bands, recorded for reputable labels, and I've also recorded bands from different countries. Now, I'm not saying that if you go to audio school, you will guarantee to be able to do all of the things that I've been able to do. What I am saying is, if I did not go to audio production school, I would not have been able to create the opportunities and take advantage of the opportunities in front of me that led to me being able to do all the things that I have been able to do. Cool. So this is the end of the video. Again, I know this is a little bit of a controversial topic, so let me know in the comments down below what you think, where you stand. Did you go to school? Did you not go to school? Why? Let me know. I'm actually genuinely curious about what you think about it. If you learned something from this video, please subscribe, turn on the notifications, and join the community. If you're interested in joining a Facebook group with like-minded individuals such as yourself, there's a link to it below in the description. Please join, ask some questions, start a conversation, and let's all learn together. Anyways, my name is Cory Bergeron. You have just watched Cory Bergeron Recordings. I will see you in the next video.